3 days left here in the regular season. This is our second match of the night. Welcome back, everybody. It's Chris Puckett here at the Overwatch League, and I'm joined at the desk. We got Crumbs, we've got Reinforce, and we just saw the Houston Outlaws pull off a massive victory over Philadelphia that keeps Houston and Seoul in the playoff running still. But this next matchup, we got a chance to see a team lock up their spot in the playoffs, and that's the London Spitfire, who need just one win, boys.
Yeah, and you get some extra prize money, right? You need to remember that if you place third to fourth, you get an extra $50,000. So the London Spitfire, they don't want to end fifth, right? They want some better seeding in the season playoffs, as well as some extra prize money at the end of regular season.
And that means that because Mayhem's already out of stage playoffs and out of season playoffs, the only thing they're playing for is denying London $50,000. What kind of a jerk move is that? You suck all season long and you come here and you try to deny $50,000? Come on, Florida. You let London.
I mean, you love to be that guy.
You'd love to be. No.
Florida had some struggles, and I know that Tavik loves to troll, so maybe he'll get the best of the London boys. But let's talk about the Spitfire, because this is a team, you go back to stage one, they're your stage one champions. We're calling them the world's best. Well, last week they had their ups and downs. They played both LA teams who are red hot here in stage four. They didn't get a victory, but they did look better in their match against the Gladiators that went to a Game 5.
So for us, when we look at the London Spitfire, what we want to see out of them to consider this team back in their old form is Prophet and Birdering having a solid game together. No more of this taking turns being amazing. They need to be amazing at the same time. And once that happens, this is the team that we will see go to the top once more.
Just looking at the emotions from these guys, you can see how hard those losses hit them.
Yeah.
Johnny, if you're going to look for this team to turn it around today, if London is going to get that map win, lock up their playoff spot, but really, more importantly, make $50,000 more dollars this week, how do they get the job done? Who's the player to look out for?
Well, I do agree with you, Crumbs. You need Prophet and Birdering to play in solidarity, really. But I'm looking out for, I want to emphasize on Birdering, because in my opinion, he's the guy who has been missing on this team. You can see it in the stats themselves that his Widowmaker play really hasn't been as good since stage one. Now, there's different compositions going on, but I think the message is the same still. Birdering hasn't been his former self. And this guy has arguably the highest roof in the league when it comes to his potential skill level. So I do want Birdering to turn up specifically for the season playoffs. You need to get Birdering going. So when it comes down to it, 2 season playoffs, this guy can actually beat out the big teams in the rest of the league.
You know, all in all, even if Birdering is performing how he has in stage 4, this should be a must-win for London Spitfire. Look at that. They've played it before. They've won every single time. And you're up against the Mayhem, who have nothing to play for. They're basically the American cousin of the Shanghai Dragons. The colors are the same, yellow and red. This team, you know, you gotta beat Mayhem here. It's unacceptable.
You got something against the Mayhem.
I mean,
I like it. No.
It's true.
It's being honest. It's being honest. All right, Johnny, what are you expecting to see from the boys from Florida, your Swedes?
Well, actually, less Swedes. We got a bit of a surprise. We actually got Suppis walking out for the first time today. He's in the starting lineup for the Florida Mayhem. So him and Swoosh are pairing up in the starting lineup for Kings Row. So maybe we'll see some Reinhardt and Zarya. We know that Suppis played a great Zarya for Team Giganti before the Overwatch League. So certainly something we can see. I think it comes down to shot calling. Suppis a bit of an older guy. He has some leadership capabilities and likes to talk in game. So I'm excited to see what they can bring us in this final week of regular season.
I can't wait to see my buddy Swoosh back in action, and it's time to bring him out to the stage. Please put your hands together for the Florida Mayhem. There he is, the man out of the tunnel first. It's Zappis. Johnny, you mentioned it. This guy has won a championship in this venue, but that was back in Contenders. We haven't seen him in a while. What do you want to see from Zappis today?
Well, he leads the charge out of the tunnel, right? And that's what he's all about. He is this leadership figure for this team. So I can imagine Swoosh and Awesome Guy and Manhattan, they've had some trouble synergizing together in the front line, the tank duo. So maybe you bring Zappis in. He can control the front line a bit more, create some better space for the rest of this team. So I'm excited to see how they're going to move forward in this game. You know, they don't have a lot to play for, we talked about, but still, you want to end on a good note, right? You want to do a good showing. So I'm looking out for the tanks to see what they're bringing us on Kings Row.
It's very interesting to see that Zappis is in, though, because last time he was in, it was stage 2, week 4, and he was replacing Logix, and they were playing a lot of Hollywood maps. So now Logix is in, Zappis is in. Maybe this is the flavor that the Florida Mayhem needs, where it's just more confidence in each other, and there's no language barrier. There's no Korean players.
Johnny, if you hung out with TAVEC earlier in the week, you heard him say the word Hanzo a lot in his interviews. Any chance we get to see TAVEC playing Hanzo on our maps today?
Oh yeah, the hero forecast says a lot of Hanzo, especially going into King's Row, where we've seen a lot of double sniper, the Widowmaker and the Hanzo. Usually gets countered by the Orisa barriers, but then again, London has preferred a lot of dive characters, Winston and D.Va. So I can see a lot of double sniper and the Hanzo coming into play.
Last time we saw the Mayhem, their Mercy was getting murdered. 0 reses in his final map. I'm looking for Zebasai to have a big game today if the Mayhem want to keep pace with their opponent. Please show some love from the team from the UK. It's the London Spitfire. Out first is Fury. We've been talking about MVP, star performances, player of the match honors. Fury was up there last week with his performance. Unfortunately, it was the Gladiators stealing that victory away from them. But I want to see, what can the tanks do to help out the DPS? You highlighted Prophet, you highlighted Birdring, but those aren't the only 2 guys that need to get the job done.
Yeah, you're right. I do remember we had a piece featuring a lot of D.Va players. It was Nevix, Meko, etc. And they actually praised Fury as one of the best D.Vas in the league because he can play both aggressive and defensive. We have Meko for New York Excelsior playing very defensive. But Fury, he's a good mix of both. So to a lot of people, Fury is the best D.Va in the league. And he needs to turn up today as well to give Prophet and Birdring the space they need to actually perform as we'd like.
They don't need to turn up that much because the things that they're playing for is that 1 win to make it into playoffs. But more importantly, you win here, that 50K means Jester can be buying more of those Balenciaga shoes and all those fancy brands that I don't know, but they're really expensive. And these guys like them.
$1,000 for moon boots. I like their investment. Popular somewhere, not in my house. Let's keep it rolling, though, and talk about Bedosian, of course, and of Nuss, the 2 supports for this team. Everyone highlights Jonak. Bedosian was one of the original slayers in that role on Zenyatta.
Yeah, he's arguably the second best Zenyatta in the league, right? And he's similarly aggressive as Jonak, so he's always in the front line dealing damage. Going to be good to see Bedosian in the kill feed this game.
Once again, the London Spitfire need just 1 map to lock up their spot in the playoffs, and they got the opportunity right now. We're going to King's Row with your casters, Monty and Doa.
Thank you, Puckett. That's right. Time to get started with our second match of the day. It's going to be Florida Mayhem versus London Spitfire. And like the desk said, London only needing 1 map win. I held up 2 fingers, but 1 map win to get to the playoffs. I was so excited I needed both hands to say 1. But either way, it should be a good match. Florida can kind of play spoiler here, but they're showing us some stuff they haven't seen that we haven't seen in a while. Zappis in the lineup.
Yeah, exciting, and that may be what they need, because if we look at the map pools in Stage 4 between these 2 teams on the first 4 map, excluding a tiebreaker if we do go to it. But look at this. These teams have combined for 5 map wins only, 3 for the Spitfire and 2 for the Mayhem on this pool in Stage 4. So I think it's hard to say that either team has an advantage here when it comes to maps, because honestly, this has been very weak for both of these teams.
I mean, aside from Hanamura for Spitfire, yeah, everybody well under 50% for all their map rates, 0% in a lot of cases, in fact. So, you know, some teams are going to get their first wins on certain maps here on Stage 4, but we're going to have a lot of fun either way. King's Row is going to be the first map that we're going to see played between these 2 teams.
King's Row is a map that the Mayhem in the past have liked to play double sniper on with these shakeups to the roster, though. We'll see if they go back to some of their standard strategies. We're not going to see anything too terribly interesting from the London Spitfire. Going back to the Orisa, Junkrat, and Widow composition that we see so frequently.
That's just a fairly solid strategy. It looks like a bit of posing here. Ooh, the "you are not prepared" spray.
It's always serious business.
That's right.
Korean players really like to pull that one out.
When Illidan Stormrage shows up, you know it's getting serious.
So it will be a pretty standard setup here on the high ground, of course, Florida Mayhem. With TAVEC on the Hanzo, one of his signature heroes, and Logix, of course, playing the Widowmaker. And I think it has been hard to decide whether you play Logix or Saya player. Obviously, Saya so dominant in those Widow duels, but Logix with a bit more flexibility, and both of them have honestly been very good.
And you probably have a little
All
bit
right.
stronger communication too.
Here we go,
And it's
Noah.
going to be the Bastion from AVEC. All right, yeah. We've seen this a couple times on King's Row. It's not unheard of, but it's still not something we see too often.
Yeah, the Dragons and the Outlaws have run this strat before as well. And so the idea here is you just try and push them off the high ground, then you cover the point with the Orisa, and you force them to try and get behind you, which isn't very easy when we look at the composition that the London Spitfire are running of. Not,
Hey, you,
not very easy to flank them.
hey, you blow up the shield, and you get in that corner, set up the Bastion again. Try to make sure they don't get the high ground, and London push back, as you often see with this type of attack here from Florida.
Prophet's still going to be covering the hotel right now. Logix wants to get in and get around. Zap is trying to cover that corner as well.
That's right. Oh, Logix gets Prophet. All right, London's struggling a little bit. Maybe they can get back there for the res from Nuss. Waiting for it. Zebasai's already got his Valkyrie, and he's just going to use it to keep everybody safe. But Bedosian, he's coming for you. He gets the Zenyatta, but Logic's there for a bit of revenge, and that's 2 ticks taken for Florida already. Here comes the Riptire from Prophet, though, but it might just be too late. Yeah, the tire is going to be, a Vengeance tire. Actually, it's going to be nothing. Logix shoots that one out of the air, and Florida Mayhem just rolls point A.
Yeah, Prophet trying to get that basically from spawn there. And not going to hit anyone with it. Florida Mayhem, that was a great push from them. Slow, deliberate. They won the barrier battle by using the Bastion to fire down that Orisa barrier and then set up their camp on the corner. Logix, though, he's the one who hits the critical shots through the hotel. He had to win that fight and gets 2 kills. And there's no chance to res as the Mercy was on the other side of the point.
Yeah, Vic trying to avoid the dive, but he's going to get chased down by Fury. Meanwhile, Prophet finds one onto Zupa. So Florida gets through point A fast, but they are stopped cold here on point B.
Yeah, London knew that the Valkyrie had already been used by the Florida Mayhem, so no point to trying to follow that one up. London is playing aggressively with Nuss's Valkyrie, realizing that they were going to have that advantage in the dive. Zapis now on over to the Zarya, probably his most well-known hero.
Yeah, good to see him back in the lineup too. Ooh, Birdring, nice shot onto Logix there, but Tvik quick to respond with a kill onto a London DPS. Logix gets res though, but yeah, it is good to see Zapis come back, and now Florida Mayhem has reached 50% players that start with Z on their team. Who's next? That's the question I have. A gesture down. Who's next to drop in that fight? Florida pushing forward now.
Yeah, London giving up a lot of ground here, basically for free. They have been trying to fight this payload, and Logic's going to find Bedosian on the high ground. He will get resurrected, it would appear. Nuss trying to get over to him and up in time, and they're trying to cover him right now.
Oh, that was really risky, man. Fury, if he hadn't gotten that defensive matrix up, could have gotten messy. It did get messy with the tire, though. Prophet finds Zebasai. And that's going to cause Florida to back off a little bit. They've got some ultimates up, and they've got even more on the way here. So I think if you're Florida, you're in a pretty good, pretty comfortable state of mind pulling back and kind of regrouping here.
Yeah, you're nearly at the Graviton Dragon Strike combo, which is really how you want to push this payload through the end of point B. If you can get through that Transcendence, help with a little bit more damage, which you'll have. You'll be able to walk up with a Valkyrie to get right into that Graviton if you're Swoosher Zapis. That's not an auspicious start. Logic's going to have to get revived here as they walk on up.
Yeah, so the res is there, but it also means the res is down now. London getting really aggressive in this fight, actually. It's going to be the Primal Rage coming in from Gesture. That prompts Zebasai and Zupa to pop their support ultimates. Florida trying to make something happen here. Zapis, he's got that Graviton Surge. They're waiting for the right time. He's going to use it on the inside of the wall. Dragon Strike comes through. This is the combo they've been looking for, but they do have the Transcendence to stop the damage.
Oh, and that's blocked too by Gesture's barrier, so the Shatter.
Man.
Florida just used so many ultimates and they got nothing out of it. Oh, what a disaster.
I mean, they didn't just get nothing. They actually lost people. Zupa had to be revived again, and now the Riptire coming in for Prophet. It's gonna find Swoosh, and Florida, they had the combo, they just couldn't pull it through.
Well, the big problem, Doa, was that Jester got into their back line and forced both support ults. So that meant by the time that the Graviton came out, sure, you can shoot the Dragon Strike in there, but you only hit 2 members. One of them is going to be the Zenyatta in the Transcendence. And if you don't have your support ults to heal your tanks up who can walk up and deal the rest of the damage, because Dragon Strike and Trance will just cancel each other out.
Pretty much.
It's the rest of the damage that pushes it over the top so you can get the kills. That just doesn't happen. Really poor execution from the Florida Mayhem. They got rattled by Jester's aggressive play, but credit to Jester, goes into that back line, forces the support ultimates, and he knew they were looking for that combo, and they successfully deny it.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you're running the Zarya and the Hanzo, it's pretty telegraphed what you're going for here, but London knowing how to respond and kind of keeping the momentum rolling with yet another pick onto Logix, yet another resurrection having to be used early by Zebasai. Now the Dragon Strike comes through for Tavik. He's got time to build another one before Zappis has his grab, but he's gonna have to wait a little bit. Back in spawn, and there's another kill onto Zebasai, so London just kind of holding Florida Mayhem nearly at their spawn here, and Florida Mayhem, fast point A, but man, they have been struggling since then.
And look, we're going to take a look at this replay right now. Bird Ring. They get a pretty critical pick off here.
That's a good one.
Beautiful shot onto Logix. Knew where he was, of course, with that infrasight does help out.
It certainly does. Helps when you can see through walls, doesn't it?
Prophet's Riptires have also been fantastic this game. London's ult economy really used well against what we've seen from the Florida Mayhem. Another Valkyrie, that's a pretty early one.
I mean, that's the thing with Zebasai, man. You can force those Valks out of him pretty easy. We've seen Birdring from behind, finds a pick on Zupa. Now that the Mercy ultimate is down, Zebasai tempting fate here, goes for the res. Tavik, meanwhile, gets a kill into Birdring, protecting his own Mercy, but here comes a tire, and it's gonna find Swoosh again. They use the grab, but again, they don't have the damage for the follow-up. They get the Transcendence out of Bedosian, but they needed a lot more than that. Florida's scrambling here.
Bedosian is flanking them right now.
Yep, he's trying, man. Oh, gets knocked down by Zebasai. That may not have been wise from London. They're gonna try to keep this push going. Zupa has the Transcendence though. Zappis gets a kill into Prophet too. And now another Dragon Strike comes through. And London perhaps getting a little bit over eager at the end of that one. And they may just give up point B here.
I have no idea why Bedosian dropped to the low ground in front of the respawning members of the Florida Mayhem for that flank.
Yeah.
That is a big positional error that is going to cost them this point.
Let's just call that the Jonak effect. Sometimes these Zenyatas in the league, you know, they think they can do a little bit more than they're capable of. Just because Jonak can do it doesn't mean you can.
That was certainly a bold play by Bedosian.
Yeah.
High risk, very low reward, and now London
No reward.
gonna have to defend here in point C. Florida Mayhem getting a little more movement off this payload right now, and that's gonna be a shatter on
Okay.
two.
Oh, he
Trapped!
ran into the trap. What a trap from Prophet. It was in just the right place. That saved his life, man. Oh.
It's like watching a car stop right in front of you.
No kidding. IQ 9000 trap from Prophet. I'm about to get earth shattered. I better put this one down. That was great.
Zapp is going to be coming in with another Graviton Surge here.
Check
You
that
take a
one
look.
out.
This is Bedosian. He literally walks around, and there's
Bedosian.
multiple members here of the Florida Mayhem. He has
man.
no help.
That's the kind of stuff I do in my ranked games. That's not the type of thing a pro Overwatch player should be doing.
I think maybe he thought Jester was going to primal over and help him, but it just didn't happen.
Could be, yeah. All right, Graviton Surge used. They lock a few people up, but again, just no damage to follow up. These grabs have not been great from Florida.
Well, they didn't have a Dragon Strike this time. They have no
No.
time, though. They had to throw it out, honestly.
I guess so. I mean, with 10 seconds left, what more can you do? London continues to push Florida back, though, and it looks like that's maybe all the farther the payload's going to make it. 4 seconds left now. Prophet with yet another kill on the Logix. And here comes Zupid surging in with that Transcendence. But everybody else in his team is dead, and that's going to be about it. Zappis is going to keep overtime going for just a little bit longer. I guess he got another meter. That's something anyway. But that's going to be it for the push from Florida Mayhem. An interesting round for both teams, but Florida's going to get stopped in point C.
A lot of weird mistakes from both teams. No,
Yeah.
some over-bold play, some preemptive ultimates. And that leaves the Florida Mayhem not finishing the map, about halfway through point C.
I mean, to be fair, they probably got it farther than they should have.
Yes.
With that hold that London was putting together, and then it just kind of fell apart at the very end.
I do agree with you, but that said, we'll see if London can actually push that far. Remember, they have not won on stage 4 on Kings Row.
Yeah, they're 0-3 in the stage, 3-6 overall in the Overwatch League. Not too much better, though, for Florida. 3-4 overall, 1-2 on the stage.
Now, we think about London, really the style that they've been using recently has been that triple tank, triple support. That's what saw them pick up a couple maps, the first 2 maps off of the Gladiators, but that was on Blizzard World and Horizon. Now,
Yeah.
they may run that next map on Hanamura, Point A. I think we could see them go back to that because they have strongly preferred that style.
It's odd to see a team do so poorly on King's Row. This is a map that a lot of players will tell you is their favorite map in the game, and
Absolutely.
a lot of teams feel really, really comfortable on it. So what do you think it is about this map with London?
I think it's interesting because they do like to run the double snipers, and a couple times they just have been full held. They haven't been able to set up the proper crossfires on the high ground. They haven't been able to get the flanks in. Well, we see Profit coming on the Hanzo, and one of the jobs of the Hanzo sometimes is to get through the hotel or around the side and try and creep up into the upper window behind the enemy Widowmaker, and that just hasn't happened. So the crossfires have been lacking. It really was, I think, a coordination issue for the London Spitfire.
Might be a bit of a different strategy unless we see some last-minute switches from London. Profit sitting on that far at the moment. Might change here. Birdring, meanwhile, on the Genji. No, it's going to be Bedosian. Just checking things out with the Hanzo. Yeah, throwing out that Sonic Arrow. Probably going to swap back. There we go. Yep, back on the Zen. But it will be Profit on the Pharah and Birdring on the Genji. Interesting.
So this is tricky for the Pharah. The Pharah is trying to break this shield. Hulk going to pull Profit up over, but you have to be concerned about the Widowmaker. However, Logix is not behind the Orisa barrier, so they know they can just go over.
Waiting for that concussion mine to come in. I think Zappis might have absorbed it. Looks like London's just going to dive into the hotel instead.
So that's the reaction to London knowing that the Widowmaker isn't behind the Orisa barrier. They use the concussive blast to rocket themselves quickly over to the opposite side. Birdring is up in the hallway.
That's a reflect and a half. Birdring takes on Logix with his own headshot. Losing a lot of health here. Oh, and Supa gets him, and not before he gets Supa as well. They just dash through each other. Orb versus Blade. Meanwhile, London taking the point. They've got a tick already. Heading for 2 now. A little bit stalled out. Zebasai taking some pretty big hits here. Tvik down. Fury did get demec'd. Uh-oh. Profit's trapped, but it doesn't look like anyone's there to take advantage of it.
Oh, nobody's on that high ground anymore, though. They all drop down, and they're all stuck on the corner of the point.
Oh, this is great for London. They have got Florida Mayhem exactly where they want them. There's a barrage, and that's an easy pull on the trigger for Profit. He's going to go down, but he contributes enough damage to probably get London the point. Yeah, they should.
That was really well played by London. The way they boxed them into the hallway by pushing them back, the Genji on the opposite side to harass the Widowmaker. We do not see Pharah Genji attacks on this point very often, but innovative positioning from the London Spitfire wins them point A.
Oh, I feel like that's something we would see more back in like stage 2 or something like that. It's been a while.
That was a weird one. The teams like New York and the Gladiators run the Pharah, but they don't run the Pharah Genji together.
Oh, Florida back in action to try to defend him, and here comes the blade from Birdring. Forces out the Transcendence right away. Zupa pops his ultimate as well. Tvik brings Birdring low. Meanwhile, Swoosh does get a kill as well. So it looks like Florida's going to be able to hold that one. So will we see some swaps from London now that push didn't work out? Yep, there goes Birdring over to the Widowmaker.
Yeah, I think this is smart. You see that they're still going to be sticking on the Junkrat. Tvik, though, I like the way they used the Valkyrie to push forward, and now that means Tvik has a Riptire to stall this even more. Florida knows they have to play aggressively because they didn't get all the way through the map, so playing around this choke point is their best opportunity to consistently bleed time off the clock.
Absolutely. One thing that concerns me with Florida is we always see those support ultimates pop at the same time. Seems so easy to draw them out on that side. Profit swapping over to the Zarya. Meanwhile, the tire comes out. No kills out of it. Bedosian has to use that Transcendence so to keep people healthy on the London side. Florida getting completely spread out here by Gesture's Primal Rage. Meanwhile, that payload is moving.
Yeah, but they basically dodged the Primal Rage and the Transcendence. So London, using a lot of ultimates, and they're getting payload movement for it, but Florida Mayhem has fallen very far back to the end of B right now. They don't want to fight this up front. Profit switched to the Zarya because he wants to get shield or energy off of the Junkrat. But there's no real combo here for the London Spitfire, and that could cause them problems. I'm not a big fan of having the Widowmaker, Zarya, Diva, and Winston together because there's not a finisher for the Graviton unless you can actually get a charged Zarya, and even then it is hard to get that Zarya into position because the Reinhardt shield can block a lot of that damage.
Yeah, usually you need the charged Zarya and your Reinhardt swinging through too. Bigger Shatter comes in from Swoosh. He's going to knock down Gesture. Bedosian down 2. Tvik manages to get him, so that's going to be London falling back. Self-destruct thrown in. He's going to get the mech back for Fury. Needed that one.
Yeah, they keep on pushing this, actually.
Yeah, they're gonna
now
try.
that Bedosian has been res, that's going to mean the grab comes out.
Yeah, but again, just like you said, no damage. They get out the Transcendence. Zebasai does save his Valkyrie, though, which is something you don't see Florida do a whole lot, but that will help them in the next fight. Here comes the tire again from TAVEC. Gonna go after that Mercy, can't quite get it. Blew it up a little bit early and didn't get the kill.
And instead, Nuss kills him, on TAVEC.
Yep, that's what happens.
Gets destroyed by the Mercy Blaster, and we keep seeing this fight go on. Zap is going to throw the self-destruct out. Nuss and Fury get out of the way, and it's a 4 versus 5 here.
Birdering!
And make that a 4 versus 3, or 5 versus 3.
Find it out, and he gets the last shot. 6 HP! 6 HP, and Birdering wins a 1v2. That was sick.
Well, you don't have to have combos to win Doa when Birdring is just going to flank them and destroy them. See Nuss right here, and look at that.
That does it.
Long-range headshots for the tire. Heads-up play by Nuss.
Birdring kind of coming alive on this Widowmaker now, too. As London cruises through point B, they've only got to push it just a little ways into point C to win the map.
See if this grab can do anything. Again,
Yeah.
Prophet is... There's so little follow-up with this composition. I'm really not a fan of it, Doa, but maybe they can get it to work.
Depends on where you can grab them. I mean, if you can pull them right over the pit, which you can do sometimes on King's Row, that can get a couple kills.
That may be a good idea, considering the situation. I mean, they don't even have a Reinhardt to really wade in and get a lot of hammer hits down.
Yeah. Let's get some r/Overwatch highlights going here. Grab some people over the pit. I mean, it's a tough position for Prophet to be in. Got to make sure you don't get that eaten.
Under in charge, though. This is Prophet's time.
This is going to be the time. Oh, but your shatter comes through from Swoosh. Logic's with the kill, or getting killed rather. Transcendence comes in for Bedosian. There's the grab. That one got eaten. Yep, that's right. Zap is ready for it. Now Gesture just wrecks the rest of Florida. No grab, no problem. Rez comes in for Zebasai, but he pays for it with his life. And there goes TAVEC. Looks like that's the map. And London Spitfire, as soon as they can handle Logics here. As soon as they can handle Logics. And maybe Swoosh as well. Getting back there on the Winston. But there we go. London Spitfire wins King's Row. And with that map win, guarantees themselves a spot in the overall Overwatch League playoffs.
Yeah, congratulations to the Spitfire for qualifying for the season playoffs, trying to claw their way back into prominence. Our Stage 1 champions will be represented in the postseason. But it still really matters, though, because London, this one win, that only means they have at least 6th seed. And having a higher seed is going to be important. They still need to win their last couple of matches.
Quick break, guys, and then we come back with Hanamura, our second map in this series. Don't miss it. More Overwatch League coming up.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel. Intel Core i7 powers the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.